Hey, it's Daniel Passar here. I help business owner operators professionalize so they can reach the top of their game. I grew up in an entrepreneur home. My parents had a healthcare business. I saw the risks they took, the stress they had, and all while not really being compensated for all that. And so I think all small businesses, all owner operators do the best they can, and I try to help connect them with a lot of wisdom and especially different kinds of professionals who can help them move their business forward and professionalize so that they're not stuck and not reaching the top of their own game. Today, I want to talk about lawyers. Why don't people trust lawyers? I came up with three ideas. I'm curious your thoughts. The first reason I think people don't like or trust lawyers is I think lawyers just tend to be the face of the justice system or the court system a lot of times, either by explaining laws or not explaining them so well, being the agent of a lot of people to interact with the court system or the justice system. I think it's really challenging to navigate the system, and there's a lot of issues with the system. I think everyone has had some disappointments with the system. And so I think the first reason I would give that people don't necessarily feel warm and fuzzy about lawyers is that lawyers kind of just are the face a lot of times of a system that's not perfect. The second reason I would say is it's an ethics thing. So lawyers are required to advance zealously the interests of their clients. And so if a lawyer doesn't push as much as they can to help their client, they could actually be vulnerable to an ethics claim against themselves because their goal is not to help the other side, their goal is to help their client. And there are definitely lawyers out there that are very charming and speak very warmly and tell a story to the other side. Hey, we just want the right thing here. We just want everyone to be happy, that kind of thing. And then when push comes to shove, a lot of times those lawyers are extremely aggressive, to say the least. And a lot of people get burned and say, wait, what was that? Like, I was vulnerable. I shared information. I didn't hire my own attorney, whatever it may be. And they feel burned by those lawyers who, to a degree, were just advancing the interests of their own client. Again, there are limits to that perhaps, but I think some of the reputation that lawyers have has to do with how aggressively they're advancing their own clients' interests. The most important reason, though, that I think people don't have such a warm and fuzzy sense of lawyers is pricing. Lawyers in general tell you, please pay me a bunch of money. I'm going to do some stuff. You might be happy after, you might not be happy, but I'm going to be happy because you paid me a bunch of money to do that stuff. And a lot of people go through different, whether it's litigation or research or transactional matters that don't end up being fruitful for them, but they paid a bunch of money and spent a lot of time to go through it, and they didn't feel like it was a win-win for them and their lawyers. So sometimes that reveals an issue with the lawyer in the beginning. So for example, someone says, hey, I want to sue this person. I want to apply for this thing. I want to make this claim. And the lawyer, instead of saying, like you really only have like a 2% chance of winning here, the lawyer instead says, hey, let's try. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's make them pay. Let's get that permission. Let's make that claim. But perhaps it wasn't actually a good investment of time or money for the client. So what we try to do when we're doing legal or legal adjacent services is to make sure that our interests are aligned and that the pricing is also aligned. So we give opportunities, for example, when we're doing some sort of fractional role for someone to basically pull the plug and opt out and say, hey, I know you guys have spent a bunch of time, doing whatever it is, but it's totally not working. We try to build that in. And the reason we do that is because we really are looking for very, very long-term relationships. And so if someone engages us for, let's just say, a week in a role that we would probably looking to do for a number of years. For us, it makes a lot more sense to separate early and give a full refund to it. And we bake that in advance. We speak about that structure in advance rather than go through something that doesn't end up being a win-win because either we can't uniquely create a lot of value for the client or because the client doesn't exactly have a sense of what success would look like. So for us, the opportunity to work for people, even if it doesn't end up working out for the long term, we learn a lot during those first few hours or days. My rule when I'm on the acquisition side of services is to get as small a scope of work as possible, as fast as possible, moving. Okay, so you have a plumber wants to do the plumbing for a 86 unit new apartment building. You you learn a lot when you sign a $3,000 job with him to be done like same day. I find in general, you learn a lot. He learns a lot about you. You learn a lot about him. How did it work with the payments? How did it work with the inspection? How do his guys seem? You learn a lot basically during that time. And so we try to do the same where we have not just an interview process of getting to know each other a little bit before engagement, but even after engagement, the first few days, sometimes weeks, we are going through a process where we're doing real work and actually integrating and engaging. And everyone's learning a lot about whether this is actually flowing and going to be very successful. And so I don't know if lawyers can really do much about their reputation as being zealous advocates. I think, like anything in life, that could go too far. But I think that a lot of times, any professional you hire, whether it's your accountant or your consultant or your fractional executive, you want them to be zealously advocating for your position and advancing your mission. So I'm not so sure that there's much that I would personally do about that, just keeping our standards of integrity high. In terms of um, representing the justice system, the court system, we don't really do as much work that would give people the sense that we're actually the face of a broken system. I mean, we farm out a lot of our legal work to subject matter experts. So the other day there was a trust and estates matter. I mean, we got people on the phone that are absolute experts in that area. We're not trying to do a great job in general. We're trying to provide the best advice for the best value and pricing from specialists. But the ultimate reason, the big reason that I mentioned that people don't love attorneys, which is the pricing model, we do try to have something quite different because we do want people to feel that it is a win-win. We're able to integrate long-term with the organizations that are our clients, the owner-operators of businesses, and that they can not just be thrilled with what they're getting, but refer us to all of their friends. So hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.